Hi everyone, my name is Dov Hershkovitz and this is the 14.10 kickoff video. To begin with, I want to go over the goals of this milestone. And goal number one is securing our platform, implementing some critical security issues. Second one is to define and shape our CI/CD catalog vision. As you all know, the team is planning to work on the catalog for the coming year, and there are multiple initiatives that are happening at once. Nadia is going to talk about the design effort that we are doing, but in addition, we are doing a couple of POC, two spike issues that we've run, one in the previous iteration and one in this iteration. And those spikes issues really help us uncover some of the gaps and help us refine our vision and better understand what is really possible and what are the things that we want to maybe put back into our vision and rethink about this entire solution. So those spikes really help us shape and define our vision. In addition, several feature enhancement, mainly two epics that we start working on the previous iteration and we plan to continue this iteration. One of them is triggering the downstream pipeline from the pipeline graph, and the other one is to add the include file links in the pipeline editor and also implement some high voted issues and some bug fixes. I want to call out a few issues from here. One of them is the expand YAML element. Basically, this is the second part of the variable expansion that we have. Today, we can send a variable to the runner, and the runner expanding the variable there. However, there are some cases where we want to expand the variable before we send it to the runner, so expand it on the Rails side. And we want to do it because we want to holistically solve several issues at once. We hope it will be able to do that. So for instance, this issue actually might be a duplication unless we'll find like hidden traps or some problems that we'll find on the way. But if we look at this issue, for instance, in this issue, users would like to use variables in only changes path. So basically only changes path, and we want to introduce a variable in the path, and this variable need to be expanded on the Rails side before we are sending the work to the runner. So you can see this is a really high popular issue. So there are several issues like that, and you can see that there are many related issues, several issues like that we believe will be able to solve together by solving by implementing this issue and expanding the variable before we are sending the work to the runner. In addition, there are those two epics that I've mentioned at the beginning. One of them is to retry a downstream pipeline for the pipeline graph. I think that now we were able to really define a very lean MVC to implement this solution, and we really work on the problem to solve here. So basically, just to emphasize what is the problem that our users experiencing. Basically, today when users need to retry a downstream pipeline, they need to navigate into each individual downstream pipeline and click the retry button. This is a very time-consuming action if there are many downstream pipeline. Like we have users that have like dozens of downstream pipeline. And if some of them are failing, you need to navigate into each individual one. And the idea here is to allow users by adding a retry button to the downstream card on the pipeline graph, our users will be able to, first of all, in the first glance, will be able to see all their pipeline, all their downstream pipeline, their statuses, and from that place, without going anywhere, without context switching, they will be able to simply click on the retry button and retry those downstream pipelines from a single place. As I mentioned, this is the MVC. This is the first iteration that we want to implement. We want to take on some feedback from customers before going into like further completing the entire epic. The second one, we just start the work on this epic in this iteration, and we're planning to continue in this coming iteration, which is to surface the include file links in the pipeline editor. Just to recap, and we have the design issue here. The idea is to surface and show in the pipeline editor the files that are being included on your pipeline configuration. In addition, we do have some enhancement and bug fixes from our customers. One of them is to allow the pipeline to trigger whenever the draft prefix is removed from the title. Another issue is about the usage of regular expression with variables in rules. And lastly, we have a bug that we want to solve in how we are handling a parent-child pipeline with variables. Yeah, that's it. Hope you find this useful. If you have any questions, thoughts, or feedback, feel free to add them to the planning issue. Thank you and bye-bye.
In 14.10, I'll be focusing on the design exploration for the CI/CD catalog vision. So it's a really big effort, and we're working together as a team to go through the discovery process and uncover as many questions and assumptions as possible at this stage, and then validate it. So to learn more about this project, you can check out this epic called CI/CD Catalog, CI Contribution Framework. You can learn more about the problems that we're solving. But essentially, our goal here is to make CI/CD templates or CI/CD components that you can include into your pipeline more discoverable, easier to use, and create a better framework for other teams within GitLab, as well as our partners and the wider community to contribute to the CI/CD components and help us create a thriving ecosystem of CI/CD components for our users to use in their GitLab CI/CD pipeline. So currently where we are in this process is right now we're running a research effort to better understand the needs around CI/CD catalogs or generally CI/CD components like reusable building blocks for your pipeline. We're trying to look into the current solutions that our customers are using to help us inform the solutions that we're working on. We also currently have the engineers working on a spike to understand what is possible in terms of implementation. And all of this information feeds into the design exploration that we're doing. I already did a first pass on the CI catalog vision in 14.9. There were too many open questions and unknowns, and we were having to adjust our direction quite a bit based on what we've learned from the spike issue in 14.9. So in 14.10, I will be working on another pass on the CI/CD component catalog vision. Now that we have a bit more information about what is technically feasible, we will be exploring all of those questions in more detail. And in further milestones, we will be doing some solution validation around this. So in this design issue, if you scroll down, there's multiple threads here discussing different aspects of the CI/CD catalog, such as the component's visibility, how should it work, how do you publish and unpublish a component, and so on and so forth. So if you have any thoughts on this, feel free to weigh in with your comments or questions. We would certainly love to hear from GitLab users as well as the members of other GitLab teams on this matter. And my other focus in 14.10 will be improving the usability of variables. Very excited to finally start working on this. I haven't been able to prioritize it in the past milestones, but we have a lot of very interesting problems here to solve. So one is to allow only authorized variables to be defined when running a pipeline. So we want to make it possible for our users to run pipelines with only the variables that have been approved by the admin of the project. So we're exploring different solutions here, and in 14.10, I will be running some solution validation. And another interesting problem is adding another type of variables that wouldn't go through expansion like the regular variables do. So usually when you have a $sign in your variable, the variable will be expanded and it's processed differently. It's not necessarily a desired behavior or expected behavior if you have, for example, a password with a $sign and there's some other characters that we also treat differently. That doesn't really make sense to treat that way for things like password, secrets, and so on. So we have a whole epic of different related issues, and I will be working on diving deeper into this problem space and exploring how we could solve those problems in a holistic way, as well as identifying the MVC steps. So this epic was created quite a long time ago, so we just need to take some time to really understand the problem here. So yeah, if you have any thoughts on these problems, feel free to comment in the issues or ping me on those issues, or you can also reach out to Dove. And yeah, lots of exciting issues to work on for Team Top 10. Thank you.